The breaking news coming out from Charania of The Athletic is that point guard Russell Westbrook officially wants out of Houston. Very interesting news coming out. We're going to break it all down for you here on Chat Sports. Look, he's not happy. He doesn't like the direction this team is going in, and there are already reports of teams showing interest in Russell Westbrook as well. Kevin O'Connor says the Clippers and the Knicks are two teams that are showing interest in Russell Westbrook, and they could be potential trade partners for the Houston Rockets. Now, Russ has a huge contract, one that is definitely going to be hard to move for Houston if he really does want out as badly as Shams Charania makes it sound like he does, with 3 years, $131 million left on the deal. Now, Westbrook started this year slow with the Houston Rockets. It took a little bit for him and James Harden to really get into a groove. But once he started to find that groove, his numbers kind of trended upward in the back half of the year as he ended up averaging 27 points per game for the year as a whole, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, the usual triple-double threat that he is. But that three-point shot still doesn't look good for Russell Westbrook. And it's kind of one of the reasons that teams are like, I don't know if I want this guy as the main player on my team. Now, you look at the team that was out there. This was kind of their starting five when it really mattered, or their really big five lineup that the Rockets went with that small ball play with Mike D'Antoni at the helm. James Harden, Russell Westbrook, that was your backcourt. They had Eric Gordon playing a lot, Robert Covington, P.J. Tucker. They're all fine pieces, but these aren't championship pieces, and that's really the reason there's frustration in Houston. Now, reports came out before Shams Charania said that Russell Westbrook wanted out that both he and Harden were frustrated. But Charania followed up his report on Russell Westbrook by saying Houston's James Harden remains committed to the Rockets and is, quote, locked in for the season. Sources tell he and Kelly LKO, a guy that I actually haven't heard of, but new reporter that I guess is on the scene. So good news for Houston is Harden, the better player of the two, is locked in. But Russell Westbrook, he's done. He doesn't like the experiment. He doesn't like the fact that Daryl Morey is gone as the GM. He doesn't like the fact that Mike D'Antoni's gone and now it's Steven Silas. Even though I loved the Steven Silas hire by the Houston Rockets, Westbrook might be in a position where he's like, I can't get these coaches that haven't proven they can win anything. I need to win right now. I need to go to a team that'll build around me. So we'll have to see where Russell Westbrook ends up. But as far as it looks like, he's not going to be a Houston Rocket next season alongside James Harden, So which team do you think will trade for Russell Westbrook? Do you think it's going to be the Los Angeles Clippers? Do you think it'll be the New York Knicks? Do you have another team in mind that hasn't been thrown out there yet? Give me your Russell Westbrook predictions, and I promise here on Chat Sports, the day he gets traded, we're going to have it all for you. So make sure you subscribe and hit those notifications. And if you're already subscribed to the channel, you know we've already talked about Chris Paul to the Phoenix Suns. But for those of you that haven't seen the video yet, go watch it. You get a more in-depth breakdown of it, but we wanted to at least mention it on today's show because Wojnarowski is officially reporting that there is traction between the Suns and the Oklahoma City Thunder about a potential Chris Paul trade to the Phoenix Suns. Now, we know the Thunder are looking to potentially move on from veteran players like Chris Paul, like Dennis Schroeder, and like Steven Adams this offseason, especially considering the fact that Chris Paul has such a big contract left with 2 years, $86 million owed to him. Now, they let Billy Donovan go. They just hired a brand new head coach. So now it's time to move on from your vets. And one team that's looking to take on some veteran players is the Phoenix Suns. Suns have the number 10 pick, but we know that they are shopping that number 10 pick for an established veteran or for more picks later in the first round. And a guy like Chris Paul would easily push them into the 2021 playoff race. Maybe they're not out in the playoffs right away, but it would at least help them get closer than where they are right now. Look, the young talent is there with the Phoenix Suns. DeAndre Ayton, Devin Booker, Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges. I like Ty Jerome off the bench. I like these pieces. I like what they have. It's not enough to get into the playoffs in the West. You don't have a guy that can lead that team yet. So what do? You call the Thunder, and this is the trade I came up with. Again, if you've already subscribed, you already know that I've put this on the channel, but CP3 and the 25th overall pick go to Phoenix. The Thunder, on the other hand, they get Kelly Oubre. They have to take on Ricky Rubio's contract, and really the prize for them is the 10th overall pick in this year's draft. They covet those first-round picks, and it gives them a chance to continue to build on the young talent that they have. So Kelly Oubre, Rubio, and the number 10 pick to the Thunder, maybe they give up Chris Paul to the Phoenix Suns. Now, with basketball coming back December 22nd, we're going to be allowed back in NBA stadiums sooner rather than later. So what I want you to do is go to chatsports.com/NBA mask and pick up your team mask today before the best ones are sold out. They got new styles, new colors, and new packs coming out every single day with our friends at Fanatics at chatsports.com/NBA mask. You got to wear one every day. You can throw these in the wash. They are machine washable. It's really easy. And all you got to do is pick them up to 30% off. You also get free shipping on some of these as well. So one more time, that's chatsports.com/NBA mask. I know it's in the comments. I know it's in the description. So click the link and get yours today. Now let's talk about some draft rumors. The Chicago Bulls potentially targeting LaMelo Ball with their draft pick. But the problem is the Bulls have the 4th overall pick. That's probably not going to be where LaMelo Ball is available because he's probably going top 3. So they're looking to move up into the draft and really secure a chance to take LaMelo Ball, who they think could be a point guard of the future for them alongside Kobe White, Zach LaVine, and Lauri Markkanen. Now, one of the pieces of this rumor was that the Bulls are potentially looking to move on from Wendell Carter Jr., but let's focus more on LaMelo here in just a second and how he would fit in that backcourt. Here's the thing with LaMelo Ball. Pass first point guard. Yes, he has the size of a small forward, but he has the court vision of a point guard. And that is what makes him a perfect fit with a guy like Kobe White that is more score first as related to LaMelo, who's more pass first. And I think it would complement him and Zach LaVine, who is an absolute lethal offensive threat, if they were able to trade up and get Ball. Whether he goes number 2, number 3, I don't know if they're going to be able to get up to number 1 with what they have to offer. But one thing they are willing to offer, apparently, is Wendell Carter Jr. The Bulls are reportedly leaning toward offering him up in a trade over Lauri Markkanen. And now, I like Wendell Carter Jr. I liked him coming out of the draft just a couple years ago in 2017, but injuries have held him back. He only played in 43 games in 2018-2019, and then this past season, that 2018 draft, and then this past year, he only played in 43 games. So, not a lot of games played by Wendell Carter Jr., and for a guy that was supposed to be a stretch 5, stretch 4, in the limited time that we saw him, he only shot 21% from 3. Now, I'm not giving up on Wendell Carter Jr. I think his defense and his three-point percentage will take a step up when he gets healthy and finds a rhythm. I'm not sure if Wendell Carter Jr. is going to get you into the top 3 of this draft with what you have to offer. But I think the Bulls would be an intriguing fit for LaMelo Ball. But let me know what you guys think. What would be the best fit for LaMelo in this draft? Would it be the Bulls? Would it be the Warriors? Would it be the Timberwolves? Would it be the Charlotte Hornets? I really like the fit with the Detroit Pistons, but he's not going to be available at 7. But shout out the team that you think LaMelo Ball would be the best fit with in the draft. Let's turn our attention to Jrue Holiday of the New Orleans Pelicans, because this was the latest rumor that everybody was talking about today. Holiday to the Hawks? What? Not something I expected to see on my timeline today, as recently when we talked about Jrue Holiday, we talked about him being traded to a contender, and now, all of a sudden, he's going to the Atlanta Hawks that have the 6th pick in the NBA draft lottery. This is coming from Mark Stein, so it is a very reliable source, and the fact that Charania recently also reported that they are discussing trades, it made it a very real discussion that we had to have. And so now you're looking at a potential backcourt of Trae Young and Jrue Holiday. Of course, producer Sam went to Oklahoma. He loves Trae Young more than life itself. I'm not that high on the guy because he can't play defense, but that is where Trae Young and Jrue Holiday complement each other so well. If they could land Jrue Holiday with a trade package around a potential Kevin Huerter, maybe DeAndre Hunter, definitely using that number 6 pick, all of a sudden this starting 5 in Atlanta, I think they're pushing for a playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. You have one of the best scorers in Trae Young. Yes, I was dogging on him. I was just kidding. He's a great scorer, 30 points per game. And you have one of the best defensive guards, if not the best defensive guard, in Jrue Holiday at the 2. Cam Reddish is an up-and-coming forward at the 3. John Collins was averaging a double-double, a 20-point double-double when he was healthy. And they just traded for Clint Capella, who hasn't even played a game yet. This is a fun Hawks team. And if it happens, great. I'm just not sure if Jrue Holiday is willing to take a step from New Orleans, where he wasn't competing for anything, to Atlanta, where he's just competing for an 8 seed. Bit of a question mark for me there. But if it does happen, if any trade happens, if any major free agency signing happens, we're going to have it here for you on Chat Sports. We go live for any and all breaking news, whether it's me, whether it's Harrison Graham, whether it's Tom Downey, or whether Mitchell Renz even has to come for some NBA stuff. We're going to make it happen here on Chat Sports for you and have up-to-the-minute updates for you at youtube.com/chatsportstv. So subscribe and hit that notification bell. It is imperative that you hit that notification bell as well. Let's talk about Anthony Edwards, going back to some more draft rumors here. Look, just the other day we were talking about how he's falling out of the top 3. Now all of a sudden we're talking about how he's going number 1 again, which I think has always been the case. I don't think he was ever going to fall past the number 1 spot, but answered a bit of a question, and he did tell people that, listen, I want to go to Minnesota. I want to be the number 1 pick. I feel like I should be the number 1 pick, obviously coming from Anthony Edwards there. There's a report coming out that teams were disappointed with Edwards' pro day, and if you saw my video on that, you know that I think it's a bunch of baloney and that I think people are just trying to throw some smoke screen to make sure he doesn't go number 1. But here's what Anthony Edwards said, and this is an all-time draft quote. "I'm not going to play basketball in the snow, so I'm not worried about it." That was when he was asked if he should play, if he would like to play in Minnesota, and he was basically just like, I don't care about the cold. I'm not playing outside. I'm playing inside. So yeah, bring it on. Let's go to Minnesota. Let me be the number 1 pick. Let me play with D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns. Because I tell you what, guys, this is a fun lineup. This isn't a playoff team yet, okay? It's probably not even a playoff team in 2 years. You give him 3 to 4 or 5 years, contender if D'Lo is at his peak, if Cat is at his peak, if Anthony Edwards reaches the potential that I think he can. I still am a believer in Jarrett Culver because you don't give up on rookies after just 1 year. So this starting 5, while young, is going to be a lot of fun to watch. That's going to be a league pass team, if you ask me. So Edwards wants to go number 1. I believe the Timberwolves want to take him number 1. I think they would be silly not to take him number 1 because he's the best player right now, and I think he's got probably the second highest ceiling in this draft behind maybe a LaMelo Ball per se. So very high on Anthony Edwards, but how high are you on him? Do you have him as your number 1 pick, or are you going somewhere else? If you'd rather have James Wiseman or LaMelo Ball, type your J for James Wiseman, L for LaMelo, or if you think somebody else should be the number 1 pick, throw it out in the comment section.